So this is gonna be out there. We're looking at this.
Yeah, and we're live.
And we're live.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to this special episode. Oh, and we got a live studio audience. Holy cow!
Can you believe it? First ever.
And we don't even have a laugh track going, or we didn't prompt them for this or anything. It's pretty cool. It worked out pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
So, what episode are we on?
I don't know. What episode this is just a special episode.
Welcome to the special edition of Mirrorless Minutes, live from which theater, Mike?
This is the Michigan Theater.
Thank you.
Right near the State Theater.
So,
for those of you that got lost coming here.
Yeah. So I've been telling everybody the wrong theater, which there happens to be that
the theater's
right across
there.
the street,
right?
pretty much. So
yeah.
Well, anyways, people actually found us here, and we're doing this special episode tonight because Olympus. What'd they do today? They did.
There was a release of something.
Firmware up. No.
Yeah, firmware update.
The big giant honking camera here. This bad beast of a camera has officially been announced. It is the OMD EM1X, and Mike and I are here with the Camera Mall of Ann Arbor, doing this live show in front of a live studio audience, like we said, to talk about this camera. So hopefully people in the audience can hear us. If you can't hear us,
let us know.
Yeah.
Or let us know if you do hear us, one way or the other.
Because we're actually living in a world of dongles right now to make this show possible. We'll try to keep the show about to an hour, longer than our typical show. Typically, we're running, 30, 40 minutes at the most. But special occasion, we've got a lot to talk about. So I guess we'll start off with, how have you liked the camera so far?
I absolutely think it's an amazing camera. It is a little bit heavier than the Pen F, which happens to be my favorite camera. But I do a different type of photography than Jamie. But let's walk that a step back. I love sports photography. That's where I actually started, and I think what rode me into street photography actually. And so I've shot some great bike racing. I've shot some great basketball games with amazing success. In fact, a little scary success. We had a little banter here with the audience before, and I mentioned something that is scary, this AI focus, what it actually does, and it comes out. So I think that, you had the same experience. Yours is more Eagle experience.
Right,
but
yeah, for sure. So it's funny. A lot of the talk has been about, who this camera's targeted at. And that's one of those things. I did a video that I released, like 1 in the morning, and who's awake at 1 in the morning. Apparently a few people, because I did have some views then.
We do have some hands. Yeah. Hey, we have some people. So, he just fell asleep.
This gentleman's retired too, so he can be up at 1 in the morning on a weekday if he wants.
Nothing wrong with retired people.
No, I know. Okay. I will be that guy
All
one day. That's the goal. So in the video, I kind of talked about initially, there was all this talk about this camera before it came out. Oh, it's too big. It doesn't fit the Micro Four Thirds. Yada yada yada. The cost is going to be this. It's how does this make sense? Well, in the video, I kind of spoke to the fact that I think this is positioned for a specific person. This isn't my mom's camera. My mom would have no interest in something like this. This is definitely targeted at somebody who is either professional 100%, somebody who loves technology and just loves to have like the latest and the greatest. I wish I was that guy, who can just always have the latest and greatest all the time. Or somebody who's kind of already, I think, maxed out what they're doing with the current lineup of cameras, wants to take their photography to the next level. And this is really that next step. And this is really as far as you can get currently with that. So it's, again, just keep that in mind. It's not everybody's camera.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see yourself, again, like I say, I know Seth's in the audience here, and we do street shooting together. I doubt either of us would carry this in the streets. Way too heavy to do that. But at the same time, I think that if you find a niche that you need something like this, and with the 7 stops that it brings you back, and in stability. And I think one thing, it just dawned on me as I'm sitting here amongst everyone, and we're in Ann Arbor, we've neglected to say that who's making this possible is Camera Mall.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gave him a shout out.
Did you already hear it? I didn't hear it. All right. Well, I didn't say it. So we appreciate Desmond has done such. And we'll have more information on Camera Mall and where you can pre-order this camera right here.
Yeah. So, they've actually got a big event coming up that we'll talk about towards the end of the show, that if you're in either the Ann Arbor area, heck, if you live in Toledo, it's going to be worth the drive up here, or I would drive 2 hours for the event he's going to have
Or
coming
Steve, we have Steve here.
Yes.
How long did you
up. Come
drive?
over here for a second.
Yeah,
Sure.
So, come
You
on.
drove,
Where are
in, you
Steve.
drove in from where, sir?
Steve.
Chicago area, Crown Point, Indiana.
All right.
I have no idea what lens you have on there. I'm off camera.
You're on camera.
100% on
You're
camera.
on camera.
100%
Well,
on
camera.
you're the first person we've ever had live in
There
a
you
live
go.
audience.
I
So
am honored to
appreciate it.
be here. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
I love photography hangouts, and I'm going to be shooting away your little event here. But if
Yes.
you need me, I'll be right over there.
All right, man.
I
Thanks,
just took
buddy.
a wedding photo of Mike. And
Yeah,
Jay.
yeah.
They have something else they want to announce tonight, so but I don't want to take it away from them.
I think we've been together for so long, it becomes common law at that
We've
point.
shared rooms all over the
We
country,
have.
so
Yeah, more than you needed to know in the
it's
audience.
part of being part of this intimate audience,
Right.
and then everybody on the internet too. So yeah, I guess some of the things that I want to talk about
Yeah.
are my use of the camera, the things that I focus on. Everybody that watches this knows, you know, it's nature and wildlife for me. Like 90% of everything that I shoot, nature and wildlife. Our audio's looping.
Okay.
Well, we figured that
Again, we get what we pay for with Google.
yeah, it is definitely going to be tricky here doing that.
Yeah.
Hopefully not horrible.
Yeah.
Just listen to the first part of the echo and then tune out the rest of it.
We'll put subtitles in later.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
is it?
Oh boy.
It's an Apple
I
thing.
think
Probably.
that's a Jamie thing. At one time when you said that one word for about 3 hours.
Stuttered. Yeah. So so hopefully this goes out to everybody that's not sitting in the audience. But like I said, nature and wildlife is kind of my wheelhouse. So that was really what I put my focus on with this camera. Was trying to track down snowy eagles here, or snowy owls here in Michigan, as well as bald eagles. Got a really good spot for that in Muskegon, where there are tons of snowy owls generally, and an excessive number of bald eagles as well. So what I wanted to do when I was out was really put the focus tracking to the test on this camera. I think I've developed a good technique with the EM1 Mark II, where I'm getting pretty good success rate in realizing that if I can stick within the center third of the frame, I seem to have way more keepers with that. So having said that, you know, I have a little bit of a technique down already. Moving over to this camera, I found that that technique makes me like 100% keepers, like 90+% of the time. And it's crazy. I found that if you stick with the center 9 focus boxes and kind of set that as like your home base here, and then set up continuous autofocus tracking, the center 9 just helps you get your subjects quickly acquired. And then once you've done that, I have several sequences of shots where I just was not keeping up with the birds. It was poor technique on my part, but ended up with an adult bald eagle that was 3/4 of the way out of the frame. I think I had basically just the tail in the frame, and the tail is still in focus.
Yeah.
Whereas before on the EM1 Mark II, I probably would have lost him once I got about half of his body out of that center part of the frame. So the advancements in the continuous autofocus tracking are, in my experience, light years ahead of what I've experienced before on an Olympus camera. How they compare to another brand, sadly, I don't have any experience shooting any other brand, so you just have to take me at, you know, face value for my experiences with Olympus, just comparing it to a previous generation of camera. The keepers for birding, these are larger birds that I've been shooting to, so also bear that in mind. Snowy owls are giant, bald eagles are big, and I've got a few golden eagle shots as well that are big. So I haven't tested it with small birds, which I really like to shoot to. I don't generally try to track those in flight. I'm sure somebody can do it. I don't know if I'll ever be at that position in photography. But another one of the things that I found with this camera to tracking wildlife was that in previous generations of camera, once my subject ended up in front of anything, it seemed like the camera was just like, all right, we're going to focus over here now. This one didn't. I have a couple of photos that we'll share here in a little bit.
With the trees and stuff behind.
Yeah, with some sandhill cranes that came in when I was at Kensington Metro Park. I tracked them in wide open skies, and as they came in over one of the ponds, they ended up in front of all these trees. And typically in the past, it would have been, that's the end of my series of photos. This tracked them all the way through probably another 15, 20 frames maybe in front of trees, and then back out into the open, all in focus. I could have never done that before. So I'm pretty pumped as somebody who likes to shoot birds in the performance of
Yeah,
that.
and I think that goes to say the same thing though. And Bob, I don't know if you experience it much with football or not, but when you're shooting and you're grabbing people in the stands when you're trying to get somebody on the basketball court, at least I always seem to end up grabbing somebody in the stands nice and focused and the players out of focus.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that's all the time with the EM1 Mark II. It worked well, but this one hit the players, and you'll see a series of 3 shots with a layup, a foul, and a block all at the same time that the fans behind didn't get to come and focus. And we stayed on the guy. Yeah, I hope not. I hope not.
So another one of the things. So pre-show, we had people in the audience asking about what percentage of features are new in this versus say the EM1 Mark II. I'd literally have to sit down with 2 spreadsheets to try to quantify percentages, but I think I threw out the number of 10%, and some of those being that that I would consider like a humongous improvement in specific features as kind of being a new feature. So the one that I'm alluding to the most here is handheld high res. You might have been able to pull off a high res mode shot handheld before. Like I said, you'd have to be like a Zen yogi, like meditating to get like that smooth. But with this one, I've got the spec sheet here as an Excel file that I can give to anybody here who wants it. I make a PDF of it and give it to you guys after show, or anybody watching. Just hit me up online and I can get you the spec sheet if you want it. But I think if I remember correctly, looking at the spec sheet, I think it said down to 1/60th of a second. Don't hold me to it, man. There's been a lot going on today, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
It is a 60th. Yeah, check.
So that, again, you could never have done that before with the other camera. So I consider that kind of like a new feature. Somebody teased me about this earlier, but my Drobo is probably going to be pretty upset with me. I think I'm going to be buying new drives because as somebody who shoots mostly static subjects, landscape and nature and things like that, man, I found myself on handheld high res a lot, like almost exclusively, I think, for a week straight.
Yeah. Is it safe to say that the handheld high res is now the Jamie McDonald feature?
Well, if you go in the sub menu, is it actually?
Because I don't know if he's actually ever said a whole sentence since you had the camera that didn't involve high res somewhere.
No.
It's again sort of, it's hard to listen to you sometimes.
Say that again.
I was 50 and 80.
Okay, so
yeah.
So working with the raw files
has
been with Olympus software. I was super pumped for a minute because I pulled them into On One, and I'm like, oh my god, I can see the raw file. Sweet. Well, it was the JPEG preview in the raw file, so that kind of sucked. And I will, as an Olympus brand ambassador, I hate to say this, but I am not a fan of the Olympus Viewer software. They probably have an obligation to support the product. I understand that. So, I'm not going to say that photo editing software is their strong point, but to answer your question, I'm honestly going to wait till I can get into a workflow that I use all the time so that I can give it a fair comparison. Right. It's just not right for me to pull it into Viewer where I feel like I need like a teacher's assistant, and a tutor over my shoulder to help. So revisit me as soon as you see anything about raw support from Adobe.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they get that out quick.
Yeah, or you know what? If you want to do the Olympus Viewer Life, I'll send you a raw file and JPEG of one of the images that I'll probably share tonight. I'll give those to you. I'll drop box them to you so you can test it out.
We can send.
Yeah, I'll give you the JPEG and the raw.
That ice one would be cool. Yeah, I think that no problem in that.
So. Yeah, again, that's just kind of been my thing is like handheld high res, like almost exclusively. And I don't know if it gets talked about, and we've got an Olympus tech rep here, and I don't want to put him on the spot and ask him, but I personally feel like that these high res mode shots have more dynamic range. I haven't seen it officially from anybody. So that's another reason that I'm excited to be able to do this all the time. Being a landscape shooter, having some extra light to work with is always a good thing.
Do we think it's the dual core processor? I mean, this thing is like a mini computer now.
Oh yeah, it's dual quad core processors in this. I mean, it's probably like is my iMac.
I was just gonna say it's starting to feel more like an iMac. Yeah.
You heard it from Bob first.
Right.
So that's kind of where I've been at with this is a lot of handheld high res shots. Again, I think for somebody who does what I do, the outdoor and wildlife and stuff like that, or nature stuff, it's kind of indispensable. And I think I'm going to start feeling the pain that a lot of full frame shooters feel with these higher megapixel count files. The fans kick on my iMac a little more lately. So.
Well, I was just looking at Joe.
Yeah, we're just checking questions here.
What Joe was saying.
People online.
So it sounds like it might have stopped, which
Yeah.
is good news.
Yep.
Which is good news. I know. We'll let Jamie take a breath here. So my focus again has been pretty much sports and in the biking. I haven't had the opportunity to take it to as many places as I would have liked to, just from a pure travel aspect for the day job that we both talk a lot about. So, but I will tell you from a sports perspective, the same things Jamie's talking about with that 9-point autofocus, it is absolutely the sweet spot. And I did not shoot that way with the EM1 Mark II. I didn't use the 9 that much. When I did sports, I thought, why would I do that? It's not something I would do. And when we had conference calls about the camera and stuff, and I remember Eric saying that's the sweet spot. I said, no, I'm going to try it and see. And if sure enough, if it didn't do it. So I know we've got somebody in the audience, Rich, talking about the hockey players. I think this would be sick with the hockey, players just flying at you. I'm already thinking about how cool it would be to get some great ice and shaved ice flying, in the air.
I'm going to Cadillac for the weekend for hockey trip. I will take
You'll take it with you. I got to shoot tomorrow night in Columbus, Ohio. I'm leaving in the morning to shoot basketball in Columbus, Ohio. Watch my son coach. So, but I would definitely say that. And then as far as the biking, this Velo-Drome thing that I went into, the only one that I know of in Michigan that I know of, there's not many in the country. I wouldn't call it very, very dark, but I'd call it dark enough that you're going to go, oh, crap, I'm not going to be able to shoot in here. Because every once in a while you'd have a bright light, then dark, bright light, the lights that go around the track. But you'll be amazed. And they're just JPEGs. I did not – some of these you put in your RAWs, didn't you? Did you put in your RAW for the share at all?
They're
Are
all
those
JPEGs?
Okay, so we're sharing all JPEGs. I didn't
except
put
for
it,
the one where I pushed the shadows.
Yeah, the push the shadows.
So to get back to Rich's question earlier about percentage or new features or whatever, and you kind of talking about the Velo-Drome, that is a new feature in the camera, is to kind of negate the flicker that you might get shooting sports indoors. You can actually adjust, I'm probably going to get terminology wrong here, but the frequency at which the shutter actuates. You can basically, man, I really don't know how to, I don't shoot sports. I just know that you see flicker.
Well, anyone that shot basketball, if you shoot in an old gym, I mean, get ready, especially if you're doing a high frame rate.
Yeah.
You're going to have some that just automatically go dark, and you're like, what happened there? And then some that blow up, some that are purple, some that are yellow. All that is that flicker. And Jamie's in the light business, I know.
Yep.
And when Jamie's company goes in and makes your lights the correct way.
Correct. Yeah. No.
That's where I shot the basketball game, and I didn't need to use that, but I can't. I get into old school. I'm going to need that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to use that. But that's a real pain, and I'm sure Kelly, one of our visionaries, now the sports shooter, she could probably speak to that more than anything.
Definitely. Yeah.
So.
Find her online and send her your questions about shooting sports indoors.
Yeah.
Send me your nature photo questions. So I guess we could probably jump in. Let's do a little bit of a screen share.
Yeah.
And just bring some photos up.
We can bring up yours. You wanna? I can.
I'll do it. Let you man.
All right.
Here.
We'll get in here. If you feel like I'm staring at you, I feel like I'm staring at people here. All right, we're gonna go straight to here, and
so
we're there.
I think that the people at home will probably get better view than you guys will.
Yeah.
So this is I brought these up because this is what I was talking about earlier about being able to stay on subject while you are in front of like a distracting background, something that would normally have pulled focus away from the original focus point, as it were. So this was those sandhill cranes that I said were flying in at Kensington Metro Park one morning. I literally didn't have much time to react to it. I didn't hear them approaching. Usually they're like ridiculously loud and annoying when they come in. And these were like on silent mode or something as they approach. And then all of a sudden I heard squawking. I had just enough time to turn around and then do this and then start, firing off frames. Camera locked on, like I said, instantaneously. The autofocus is like ridiculously fast. So as they moved through, you can find Mike's mouse here. There we go.
Yeah.
So as they moved through, we ended up in front of some trees. And, you know, again, lighting was crap. I wasn't, you know, in obviously the right position for this. And this was actually moments after sunrise. So it was still really dark. So don't pay attention to exposure on this. But, and I don't know how well it would even be able to show up. I'm not do this here.
Yeah.
But the crane stayed in focus. The background stays out of focus through this, which, like I said, on the previous generation of EM1, I don't think I could have done that. I know I couldn't have done that because I've been in that situation in that same place with another bird flying through. The camera in the past would wanted to have been distracted by the trees in the background and ended up moving focus. So again, if you're somebody who likes to shoot birds, especially birds in flight, I cannot say a bad thing about this camera that I've experienced yet. I'm pretty pumped about it. And I'll stop the screen share here now, unless you want me to keep rolling through what I've got up.
You want to go?
Do a question?
Yeah, fire away,
let's
please.
go ahead. Question.
Does the X still have the same adjustment as the 2 did, the M1 Mark II, as far as plus or minus tightness or looseness?
Yes, it does.
Tracking?
Yep. So you can even, you know, fine tune it more.
Right.
Even more.
Yep. Without a doubt. So the next one, you know, most of these images I think I've probably already shared online at one point or another. I've been busy at work during the day and tried to queue things up as best I could. So this would be an example of the handheld high res mode. This is the JPEG that came off the camera. So this was shot with this lens right here, the 40-150. And I don't think, I think it was the 40-150 I had on for that. And I think I'm at 115 millimeters. It's on Flickr. If you guys look me up on Flickr, and give you my link after the show, so you can actually see when I put stuff on Flickr. Just FYI, I make the full size image available. So if you want to go and if you're a pixel peeper, have fun. I mean, go to my Flickr page. You can, you know, peep till your
I do the
eyes
same
hurt.
thing. So
so again, handheld high res. I don't remember the shutter speed off the top of my head. I apologize, but I can tell you, it was cold and my fingers hurt in the wind on the lake shore. And at a longer focal length, that was still able with the image stabilization to pull off this handheld high res. And I hate doing stuff like this, zooming in this way.
Yeah.
But
look at that.
You can kind of get an idea for the detail that you can maintain there. Again, handheld high res is kind of it's a game changer for me.
That'd be a good one to actually probably. I know Bob's talking about it. That'd probably be a cool one to send. Both the 50 and the
That's
80.
actually the one I was going to send to Bob.
I mean, I really like that. That's a great way to check out the handheld high res.
Yep.
That shot.
And then so the last two, I think these are the last two I've got. So again, talking about just trying to photograph birds and things like that, I went to Fallisburg to shoot this covered bridge that was there in the snow, and this was on the sub-zero, 15 below wind chill day. I just ended up coming across a group of eagles in one field, and they were so far away, and I didn't have the 300 with me, so I was upset and started to drive away. This is fun. Get not even a quarter of a mile down the road, and on the other side of the road in another field, there was a juvenile bald eagle eating a deer carcass, and had to think really quick on how am I going to do this. Obviously, I'm not going to stop to get out of the car because he's definitely going to take off. So what I did is in the very next road up, I did a U-turn, came around. My wife will love this. Got all set up, had my settings all right. This was actually the setup I was using at the time for that. Creeping down the road, coasting, no hands on the steering wheel, window down, steering with my knee, leaning out the window. And as I crept by, I started just firing off frames. I didn't even, honestly, I was like in freak out mode. I'm like, oh my God, did it lock on? I didn't even notice. And as I'm going by, he looks at me like, what the hell are you doing? And then he takes off, and it tracked him completely out of frame. But I wanted to share this one just because.
This is the one you took.
Yeah.
This is the raw.
Yeah. So this is a raw that I pushed just to see, I was shooting straight into the sun. The sun's in the upper right corner, like firing straight into it. Again, not having time to figure out, can I overexpose enough? Is this going to work? And then I thought, screw it. This is just cool to be this close to a freaking eagle. Probably, 100 feet away from me or something like that. Not very far away.
No deer carcass though. We don't see it. Is that it?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
So, but more than talking about being able to bring out some shadow detail, and it was just the fact that I was driving and he was flying, and this camera was just like, all right, boom, this is the bird. Follow him completely out of the frame while I'm trying to not steer off the road with my knee and stuff. And it's pretty bonkers that the tracking can do something like that. It's again something I'm not accustomed to. It kind of makes like anybody be able to be a birder. If you want to be a birder, if you want to, admit that you're a birder. So then the last shot, this has nothing to do with capabilities of the camera, because I'll tell you what, all the Olympus cameras can do this shot. This is me going back to talking about what in the heck really matters about photography. So I'm going to get out like, frou-frou on you here. But I keep this book that I've been keeping for years of all these different ideas I've got. Somebody said it didn't look like the Flickr photos are high res. I'll have to check that out. Maybe it's not set up to view full size. But anyways, I keep this book, and it's something I tell people periodically. Keep notes. If you have an idea for some harebrained, crazy idea, write it down. You might get to a point where either your skill set develops enough to make that shot happen, or the technology comes along that makes that shot happen. My early days of photography, I wanted to do stuff over this barn. This was pre-live composite when I found the barn. And I always wanted to just have it kind of like lit up. My original thought was I'd like some light shining down on it, look like a big spotlight from space or something on it. Ended up using live composite for this. It wasn't my original concept, but having a drone and putting a loom cube on the bottom of it and going out and light painting this, with the drone, basically set up my camera with a black card in front of it till the drone got in position, and then black card comes away. No, I don't have three hands. I had somebody helping me to hold the black card in front of the lens. Once that shot was done, fly the drone straight up and out of the way, and then let the live composite continue to run. And then I meandered out there with the loom cube again and just started popping light around the barn. Total exposure time on this was probably about 30 minutes, somewhere right around there. Just enough to get some star trail motion. And I have no idea what that is coming in the top of the frame. Could be a satellite, looks like an iridium flare, or maybe a comet, I don't know. But yeah, so my little takeaway from this is write your ideas down and just kind of revisit them. And if you get the opportunity to make an image, whether it be because your skill has increased or the technology has made it possible, then just kind of go ahead and do that.
That's a great shot. I mean, that is the lighting on the inside and stuff, the way you did it. Yeah, that's awesome. And you're right. You could do that on an EM1 Mark II.
Yep.
Wouldn't matter at all. Was it cold?
Colder than heck. Rick was there. It was really cold.
Rick was there.
In fact, that was the interior of the barn.
Yeah. Rick did the inside.
Rick was the interior painting. Yep. So you did the interior painting. So you're actually a little warmer.
No.
Yeah. People that are noticing that there's really not a wall there. Yeah.
So that's all I've got to share. Kind of, my 2 cents on shooting with this so far.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go through and I won't
take
have
it to the
lot.
courts.
Take it to the courts. We'll go indoors. And you could get this picture. I could have grabbed this picture from an EM1 Mark II. I'm sure of it. But again, I think like Jamie keeps saying, I'm looking at, this is 3200 ISO, shot with the 40 to 150 on the new camera, obviously. But just the I don't know. To me, I'm blown away. I'm looking for noise, and is there a little thing at 3200? I'll take that all day long. I mean, when you're shooting speed like that, and then you're getting if you notice, you're getting the ball decompressing.
Oh yeah, it's
incredible. I mean, those are some shots that you don't always get unless you're in the right spot. Here's the shot I wanted to show you that I was really happy with, that I didn't get all these people in the background, our fans here, but guy coming in for a layup. This is a three shot series, and at the same time, let's look at his face. The guy going to do the block, pulling up his face. Go to the next shot, the actual block in the scenario or in the scene, and then look at the capture of him after, blowing up that much.
Nice.
I mean, geez, I don't know. I mean,
I was impressed that it didn't lose focus on birds with a background that was, you know, hundreds of yards away.
Right.
These people are a lot closer, and it
Right,
still stayed
and I
locked
still,
down.
you know, you can see that it hasn't grabbed anybody back there at all. So really knocked out by that series right there. Yeah, these are all JPEGs. Yeah. This is probably a 2.8 and it's 3200 ISO. I'm going to say, I mean, sometimes I might have bumped up to 3.2.
So you shutter priority, and you
yeah,
got it
shutter
set
priority, shutter priority. Got the nine squares, and then autofocus tracking, and I had it on autofocus tracking, and I didn't.
Put it on tight or loose or
well, it actually it was not tight. It was just normal loose. I did not do that. And then the other thing I didn't do, because again, we have sheets of specs here that we've tried to read over. The other thing that I didn't do was put it on any of these autofocus modes that I want to talk about when I get into my Velo-Drome pictures. So, you know, so this is just straight out, in my mind, straight out of the camera shooting sports. Again, you know, I don't know about you, but when I'm shooting these games, I think everybody can shoot a shot, and, you know, and if you know it, if you know the game enough, you know what's going to happen in plays. You know, my son's the coaching here, so I know his brain. I know what, you know, I coached him for years and years when he played, so I sort of know some of the plays that he's running, so I know where to go with some of these things. But I think at the same time, what I try to look for when I'm shooting, and especially this is with the fisheye, with the 1.8 fisheye, is I try to get something a little bit different. And this was, ends up being a triple overtime game. And, you know, this is one of the runouts to tie the game at the end of regulation. And, you know, just an exciting shot. And you can come back here, you can see, you know, see the fans, you know, all hunched over, waiting, all the coaches, you know, anticipating, is he going to make it? And obviously tie the game. That was the first overtime. But, I didn't get hit here. I did get hit on a shot that I'm not showing you. And I'm surprised that the ref didn't say something to me, because I was close. I mean, if you got to understand, and I know Bob likes to shoot some fisheye and sports stuff. When if you see that orange line, I'm this far from that orange line. And that, as a coach, I would have been mad at the photographer, but nobody said anything, so I'd take advantage of it.
Let me just say that, that mountains, flowers, and birds don't hit people. So
right. Okay, so let's talk Velo-Drome. Now the Velo-Drome, all these shots, most of them shot with the 40 to 150 on it, and definitely using the 9-point focus. What I want to talk about, and I want to bring it up on the camera so I say it properly, is there's a menu now. It's called Tracking Subjects. And we can call it the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles menu. But you can actually track cars and motorcycles, airplanes, and trains. And I haven't tried the trains yet. Jamie probably did try the trains, or shut it off. You shut it off too. But I did use the car tracking to shoot this entire Velo-Drome series. And what it does, from what I'm finding, and especially would do with motorcycles, is it looks for these helmets. And so, you know, we're talking, I think, Rich in the audience, and we're discussing, you know, how that could be for hockey and helmets or whatever it might be. So some of these guys in here were a little bit more emotional than other ones. So I was trying to pick out the emotional ones, and you can see where it focuses on the third guy, and looking again at his face, shooting with a 40-150 across the way with very tough light. This is 3200 again. With the 40 to 150 is shutter priority and autofocus tracking. And you can see, just, you know, it actually pulled up. I think it got her to pretty good, actually, in that one. But so amazing stuff from across the way. Again, another one far off. This guy, just check out his face. I mean, pulling it in, you know, I mean, you can't get in that tight. And again, these are the JPEGs. Same thing here on our leader. Actually, this one we got a few guys in, you know, in the focus there. But this one is the one that I really like, and I wish I could blow it up a little bit more. But you know, I know when Jamie first saw it, he thought it was one of my 360s, and it does have that view because this place is made for 360s because it is 360 the entire thing. But this is shot up on top with again with the fisheye, you know. And what I wanted to blur out everything and get the Lexus Velo-Drome in, you know, in real tight focus there. Just a fun camera to shoot this kind of stuff. You can see the lights up top here where it's really tough. Like they come by here and everybody's bright, and you get over here and then it's dark.
Oh yeah,
you know, I would think even racing is a little bit neat. But if you're in Detroit, I would say go check this thing out. It's a lot of fun.
Now, did you when you were shooting, how did you find the performance of the autofocus tracking as they were either coming towards you or going away? Did you get a chance to kind of evaluate that?
I definitely did when I shot off on the ends. In fact, I'll use this little thing here. So we were trying to shoot up in the corners, and I was trying to obviously get down into here, and that's where I've got some of these ones. This is one of those shots.
Yep.
Coming at you, and they don't look like they're going fast, but you know
they're flying in there.
They're going about 40 to 50 miles an hour. You know, when they're running. So, and especially right here, this was a big race. I don't know what it was called or anything, but this was one where it seemed like the guys were the best overall. And this was this is about midway. This is about right underneath that flag. I was pulling up those guys in that last shot.
Very cool.
And, you know, and I really wanted to focus on was our lead guy there with, you know, he was really emotional about getting in front there.
Sweet.
So, and, you know, what we did find out is with this, with the motorsports, you can have somebody in second place, let's say, coming across the finish line, and as they come across and go in front of the first place person, the AI in this thing will absolutely understand that that's coming at you faster than the previous one, and then you'll be able to take the picture in the series, and you'll get that second place guy overtaking the first place and maybe at the finish line. And those are the kinds of things that I'm excited about. You know, I don't know if everybody knows, and I won't go into who I work for, but they do a little car racing. And so, you know, I think there's a future that I'll be able to do some things. So with
Very
that.
cool.
Yeah.
At least there's a mode for it.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah.
So speaking about that, so one of the members in the audience out here, Bob, had mentioned, you know, at least there's a mode specifically for that. And it's funny, I haven't had a chance to watch this video yet, but I was told that if you use the plane mode, the plane tracking mode, it works really good for bird photography. So that's something that I'm going to put out to the test this weekend. Again, weather permitting. We're in Michigan here, so who knows what in the world the weather's going to be like. I mean, it goes from rain to snow to, good Lord, who knows what next.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm going to try out. But another feature that, you know, again, going back to what's new on this camera that's not on the previous ones is, and this is something that's been out there, I think, for a while on other systems, the ability to set up your own custom menu structure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's incredibly cool for me. Again, having only ever shot Olympus, I was never had access to something like that before. So, and I have yet to completely fill it up. But you can set up to 35 items in your own menu. So you've got, was it 5 menus with
5 menus
items?
with 7 items. And I had a couple set up, and I lost them all.
Did you? Mine all came
Did
back.
they
right
come
on.
back right?
Yeah,
I don't know why we had to send ours in for firmware updates.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but
so that's another thing too. I think a lot of what we shared was
that's all previous.
Was all
firmware.
pre-firmware. So you know what?
With sample bodies.
With sample bodies at that. So you know your mileage may vary. I guess probably better mileage in the end. So yeah, I don't know what time is it here. So we got about 7:15.
Yeah, 20 after, and we went on a little early.
Yep.
So
all right. So yeah.
One of the things I did think might be worth is there was comments about Olympus is going to add more modes, tracking modes over time.
Okay, so I know that I haven't been told that officially in any of the briefings that I've got, but I do not see any reason why that would not be the case.
That makes sense.
Yep. You know, and that's the thing with having this much processing power available. There's no reason to not start leveraging that. And you know, and so I'll address that too. You know, I've seen, you got to love it when something new comes out.
Yeah.
You've got, it's such a polarizing thing. It's either there are the people that love the product already and they're excited, or lots of times, you know, there's a little bit of gray in between, but it's either we love it or you've got the people that are like, well, what was the point of that? You know, this isn't like brand new this and brand new that, and this isn't bigger and that isn't that. And I'm really alluding to like sensor. Like a lot of questions have been like, is this a brand new sensor? You know, we're getting to the point, I think, of diminishing returns on what you can probably do with the current technologies being used in sensors, as far as how much performance you can get out of the actual physical sensor itself. But we're just starting to tap into what's capable with computational photography, and having this much processing power in a camera, I think, is really going to help bridge that gap between where we're currently at with physical technology and where we're going to be at with something new coming down the road, you know, some sort of technology. In the interim, though, I think we're going to be able to make huge strides with what the camera can do with processing inside. So while it might not be, you know, some organic LED, you know, backlit illuminated sensor, whatever it is that everybody says that they want right now, just bear in mind that the processing power that's inside of this camera allows for a lot of things. I mean, hell, I shoot with I'm not an iPhone guy, go figure. This is the Pixel 3 XL. It's got a night shot mode that'll just blow your mind. I mean, I've taken pictures in darn near pure dark, and you would never know that it was shot with a phone. So imagine that kind of processing power in something like this, and then really starting to tap into those abilities. You know, you couple that processing power with the hardware that it does have, and I think that the door, you know, is open to a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, and I think before we go or end up the show, and I know we didn't talk about it yet, but I'm going to put you on the spot about the ND.
Yep.
You know, in-camera ND things, because I have not had a chance to use it yet, and I'm excited to, because I don't always have my filters with me, it seems like, when I'm there. But you use it a little bit.
Yeah, I use it a little bit. So, and it's funny, my default shooting mode is pure amateur. Like I work in aperture priority most of the time. It's just where my head works. You know, I'm usually worried about focal planes more than shutter speeds with a lot of what I do, unless I'm shooting birds. So my first instinct was to head to the lakeshore, Lake Michigan, with a few friends. Was hoping for more waves. It was a pretty calm day, so it kind of stunk. But first thing is, I'm in aperture priority. I'm looking to turn on live ND mode, and it's grayed out. And I'm like, why can't I do this live ND? So just so you know, if you get access to one of these, if you come to like this event that they're going to do here February 8th and get hands-on with it and want to try that, bear in mind it's in manual mode or shutter priority mode only. My time with it or using it was pretty limited just because we didn't have good wave action, so it really didn't make for very compelling images. So I just know that it's there, and I'll probably start using it maybe on a day when I've got either a better subject or better weather, to be honest with you. But I do have a few sample shots that I'll probably put up on Flickr. Again, it's just a matter of me
getting to it.
And I would like to be able to work with the raw files.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, but this ND mode this is another one of those new features that I haven't seen on anything else. And I think it's something where it speaks to what the Olympus engineers are all about. It was what else can we do that's, you know, like Jamie says, beyond that sensor to make it something very different.
You know, and you know, having that mode available is kind of cool, because then if you aren't as invested in filters as some people are, and you only have, we'll say, like a 6-stop filter or a 3-stop, you don't have like a big 10-stop. Even if you do have a 10-stop, then you can engage the live ND mode on this and just further stretch out your exposure times even more. Again, it's just something I really haven't tapped into a lot yet. But you know, the kind of subjects I shoot, it'll definitely be getting put through its paces.
Absolutely.
I pretty much ended up on high-res mode all the time anyway. So,
told you.
So
all right.
again,
so you know what I think, and I know we didn't get to a lot of the questions maybe in the chat, but we'll go back and look at them and try to answer them back one way or the other, right through the YouTube channel if we have to, right? And maybe we hit them. So
we did have a question asking about the live comp and live view, if they've got a better menu or additional features. Not that I've seen in there. There's nothing changed in that. It's still the same as you would expect before. And again, if you've got questions about that or suggestions, you know, always feel free to reach out to Mike or I. And you know, we have connections. We can talk to people. Sometimes stuff
we know
that we
Mike.
talk about.
We know Mike.
Mike.
That's all we need to know.
So I guess with that, we'll probably wrap up tonight's show and just kind of give the people out here in the audience that drove here through crazy Michigan traffic and potential weather some hands-on time with the cameras. Let them shoot a few photos with it. thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
for
thanks a
coming
lot.
out. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. First one.
First one.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
See you soon.
No, I can't hit stop yet.
Oh, we got to talk about.
Got to give Desmond
Yeah,
a little props here. So the Camera Mall in Ann Arbor was kind enough to help us get this whole thing off the ground. Be able to do this from a theater, pretty rad setup. They're having an official Olympus launch event on February 8th at 6:30. Is that right?
It is. What's our time here written down?
6:30.
6:30 to 8:30.
6:30 to 8:30. Friday, February
8th.
8th. 2-hour event. If you're in the area, come. If you pre-order here at the Camera Mall, Desmond's going to give you 2 additional batteries to go along with your
Comes
camera.
with 2.
And he's going to give you a dual charger, which you can't see because my hand's in the way. There you go. So your camera, if you order EM1 X will come with 2 batteries already. And then Desmond is going to give you, if you order through him. And Desmond, if he's in the house, Desmond,
if you popped out for a second,
you can order online through Camera Mall. Just do a Google search for Camera Mall. I know we've had people from all over the country that watch the show order online through him. And I'll tell you what, he's been able to get people cameras faster than a lot of larger stores.
Yeah.
He's got pull too. If you're interested in the camera, again, check out Camera Mall. Thank you to Camera Mall for setting this up. Thank you guys again for coming out. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I will. Mike won't.
No, but we'll see you.
See you guys.